I think I'm going to go ahead and start. Good evening. I'm Deb Newland. I'm the admissions director at Triangle Day School here. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We sincerely appreciate the time you are taking out of your busy schedule to learn more about Triangle Day School. We are going to do our best to get you out of here within an hour, and we welcome you back, of course, at any time. This evening, you're going to hear from the head of school. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion director was going to join us, but unfortunately can't make it. And we've asked one of our parents to speak, and she is also a member of the DEI committee. And then we're going to move into breakout rooms by division. So families who are interested in TK through fifth grade will meet with Natalie Ditmore, who's our lower school director. And then those who are interested in sixth through eighth will meet with Emily McAllister, who's director of middle school. There should be time at the end of those presentations for you to ask questions. Little bit about admissions. We are accepting applications, and I know some of you have already submitted them, and I thank you for that for the 22-23 school year. You can submit your application if you haven't already on our website. Applications are not due until January 21st. And part of my job, and actually truly my pleasure, is to work with every family as they move through the application process. If you ever have any questions, and I'll say this multitude of times throughout the next 6 months or 8 months, please call me or email me and I'll hop on a call and answer any questions you have. If you haven't seen TDS, please consider signing up for a campus tour. I'm giving tours several times a week to one family at a time. Although we can't go into the classrooms, most rooms have windows, and I think it gives you a real feel for the school. The tour sign up can be found on our website too. The application process is different for each division and each grade, and you can get more details on the application process page of our website as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and I will now turn it over to Doug Norrie, who's the head of our school.
Thanks, Deb. So good evening, everyone. As Deb said, my name is Doug Norrie, and I serve as head of school at TDS. Thank you so much for being with us tonight and for your interest in our school. So the pandemic has taught us many things, one of them being that virtual events like this are quite family friendly. And in many ways, this is a nice introduction to TDS from the comfort of our own homes. On the other hand, what you're not seeing tonight is maybe a lower school meeting, or our kids being celebrated for being talented tornadoes or their birthdays. You're not observing classes. You're not seeing how the adults and the students interact with one another, which is really important. So if this 45 minutes or 60 minutes leaves you looking for more, please do schedule a tour with Deb. So I'm just going to focus my brief remarks on one simple question, and that's why TDS. And I'd like to start with our mission, because it informs what we do each day and how we do it. As a warm and welcoming community devoted to academic excellence, Triangle Day School ignites intellectual curiosity, fosters compassion and integrity, and nurtures creativity, inspiring confidence in each student to lead a life of purpose. That is what we try to do every day with your children. And this is my 9th year at TDS. And I'll tell you just a little bit about how that came to be. Prior to moving to North Carolina, I had been working for 19 years in 4 different schools across 3 states. And so 9 years ago, I was exploring professional opportunities. But more than anything, I was looking for a school for our 3 children. And I fell in love with TDS for 3 primary reasons. Number 1 has to do with scholarship. Triangle Day School is by no means an academic pressure cooker, but there is a very positive student culture around hard work and around achievement that exists in our school. It's cool to do well at TDS. And you see this in how students engage with our curriculum. You see this in how students carry out intellectual conversations outside of the classroom. And you see it even more in their enthusiasm for clubs and all sorts of enrichment activities. Be that something like Battle of the Books, or Science Olympiad, or Odyssey of the Mind, or Math Counts, or Geography or Spelling Bee, or even our celebration of Math Week and Pi Day. This is a population that just enjoys learning. So there's a lot of participation and stuff like that, both in and out of the classroom. I can tell you now, 9 years later, that all of my children have graduated from TDS, and they were exceptionally well prepared for high school, not just in terms of their academic knowledge, but in terms of their student skills. And I would say that they are the rule as opposed to the exception. When it comes to this successful preparation, we tend to think about our middle school, and rightly so. And those of you that are looking at middle school will meet Emily McAllister, and she'll talk about our truly amazing middle school faculty. They are close-knit, they love what they do each day. And so the middle school is a vibrant place. It's full of challenging academics and school spirit and student-led clubs and opportunities for leadership. But it's worth noting that what our middle school is able to accomplish rests on the shoulders of our lower school program. And certainly kids that go through the full program are in the lower school for 7 out of our 10 years. The second reason that I fell in love with TDS was its commitment to character and character education. And I'm fond of saying that TDS is a place where doing good is just as, or maybe even more important than doing well. Everyone, even our youngest students, know our core values of integrity and respect and responsibility and resilience and compassion. And they kind of govern all that we do at TDS. And there's really an age-appropriate progression from the concrete, that is like the integrity table or the responsibility rug in TK, to the more nuanced and abstract discussions in middle school about where these values appear and don't appear in our world. The final thing that attracted me to TDS, the final significant thing is community. So if you remember nothing else about what I say tonight, just remember one thing, and that is that Triangle Day School is a place where children are known and valued and connected and loved, and they really do feel this every day. I'm fond of saying that our size is a necessary but not a sufficient condition for this. And what I mean by that is just because we're small, we don't assume that we have a wonderful community. We work incredibly intentionally to make it so. We have a thriving committee of parents, teachers, administrators, and board members that's focused on diversity and equity and inclusion and that work. And really, above all else, making sure that everyone, our students and our parents, feel a strong sense of belonging at TDS. We are delighted this year to return to some of our more community-minded, time-honored traditions. If you came by school in the morning, you would see our 5th graders opening car doors once again. You would see us greeting students, maybe not with a handshake, maybe not with a hug, but with an elbow bump. Next Friday, I believe, we're going to reintroduce our Crossroads program. So our Harry Potter-esque houses, where we get together on some Friday afternoons, TK through 8, and play some fun outdoor games this year. And finally, we've been starting to invite our lower school parents back into the classrooms as mystery readers and just general helpers. So we're doing what we can in some challenging but increasingly manageable times. On a final note, I think that all of this, from my perspective, adds up to what I would call a transformational experience. And what I mean by that is that kids are different for having gone to TDS. I think this comes from opportunities for leadership, and it comes from the depth of relationships that adults and kids have and over time. Speaking of the adults, our faculty have been the difference makers for some time at TDS. They were our heroes long before the pandemic, and they continue to be a large part of what makes TDS so special. So I look forward to joining some of you in a breakout room, but before then, I'm going to pass the mic over to Kimberly Su Ling, who is a lower school parent.
Thanks, Doug. So first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the DEI group that we have at school. I'm, as Deb mentioned, Ms. Haysha, who's the director, isn't here, but I actually feel really comfortable speaking about DEI because it is, in all honesty, inextricable from my identity as a parent at TDS, and it's an extremely important group for me. The DEI group is truly committed to building an inclusive environment at the school. And that includes both working with the children to make sure that they are aware of, various ethnicities, religions, socioeconomic groups, but also working with the parents as well. With the DEI group, we actually have a number of activities. Part of that is the curriculum, where we look at what children are exposed to. Are they exposed to media, that is representative of all groups? But we also have support for the parents as well. We have a group called Community Council, where the parents come together and talk about, issues that are affecting us today. And as well as talking about those issues and supporting one another, we talk about how we talk about those things with our children, which I think is fantastic. And, we bounce ideas off of one another, and we really try to make sure that we're aligned as a group and aligned as parents. We have a Parents of Students of Color group where any parent who has a child of color is welcome, and we often have picnics and gatherings, and we want to socialize the kids together. And overall, it's something that would have been necessary for me to join any school. One of my biggest concerns as a parent is always, what environment am I putting my child into? Is it reflective of the environment she'll one day go out into in the world? And I think that TDS is doing a great job of trying to ensure that the environment at the school is reflective of our surrounding community. And it's preparing our children to be thoughtful and empathetic and inclusive to all groups. So that's a little bit about DEI. And so, sort of as a segue, just speaking as a parent, again, that is one of the things that attracted me to TDS. I would say the other thing is the strong academic focus. We came to TDS in TK, and my daughter is a summer baby, and she it's always been a bit difficult to try to figure out where exactly she belonged. And once she finished her first year of TK, she started right as she was turning 4. And we had to have some really, at the time, difficult discussions about whether or not she should go on to kindergarten. Should she try another year of TK? And, it's hard for any parent to hear that, their child might be struggling. But what I appreciated was the approach that was taken, where it was truly left up to me, to make that decision. But I was provided with just an enormous amount of information, access to, the experts at the school, access to the teachers. We talked it through, came up with a plan. There was a lot of flexibility in that plan. And my daughter ended up doing a second year of TK, and it was the best possible thing. Because not only did it give her the time she needed to really settle down and be ready to learn, but she really became a leader in that second year of TK. And now she is just doing extraordinarily well academically. And, she's very well adjusted. And it was, in all honesty, reflecting upon it, the easiest decision and the best decision I've ever made. And as Doug mentioned as well, the thing that really keeps us at TDS is the sense of community. It's sometimes difficult to describe how, truly extraordinary it is, but it is the sense of actually belonging to the school. Not just somewhere, you drop your kids off at, but it's somewhere where a number of your friends are now, and a number of their kids are now. And you look forward to seeing people at the basketball games, or, the number of programs that we put on. We've got a Hispanic Heritage activity coming up soon, where I'm sure I'm going to see a number of my good friends picnicking on a Friday, which is fantastic because I won't have to cook. So, I could go on, but I really would have to emphasize just that sense of community, and really encouraging kids to be kind and, to be considerate of each other. One of my favorite stories, and then I'll wrap it up. One of my favorite stories is that this past summer, my daughter came home and the counselors called, and they said there was a little bit of an incident, today. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what happened? And it turned out that some young boys, as boys do, were hitting a tree with a stick, trying to knock it down. And my daughter jumps in front of the tree, and she's defending the tree, against them knocking it down, because you leave nature as you find it. And, we need trees to breathe, and then they produce oxygen. I mean, it's all these things that we've never even discussed, but these are the things that she learns at school, and these are the things that she brings home, and she, truly embraces. And it's when I tell people that, I have to say, I obviously have to tell her, you try not to argue with other kids, but, I love the fact that, it was that important to her to defend this tree, that, she really put herself out there, and was really standing up for, at the time, a tree, but, the next time it could be a kid who's being bullied, or when she's an adult, she could be standing up for something that's, a major injustice. So it just goes to show you, these are lifetime skills, and their lifetime learnings that these kids get at this early age. I am open to any questions, but otherwise, I'm sure you are all eager to go on into your break rooms.
So I do believe at this time you will be split up. Just sit patiently, and we'll let Emma behind the scenes do her magic. Kim, thank you so much for those beautiful words. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Deb.
Mhm.